Look, personally, I'm still hopeful that some kind of deal can be done, and the fact that the Chinese response so far has actually been very measured. I mean, the Chinese response, apart from the Google probe and a couple of other U.S. companies, in terms of the tariffs, China only imposed tariffs on $14 billion worth of U.S. goods, which is only 8.5% versus the 100% that Trump has imposed. So it shows that their response has been measured. I think the fact that it only takes place next week leaves room open for negotiation. So I'm hopeful that some kind of agreement, even if it's temporary, I think something can be hashed out hopefully in the next few days.
This is the problem, isn't it? This is art of the deal, macro and markets, and it's going to lead to volatility. Trump isn't going to let this go. This isn't going to be a kumbaya moment between Trump and Xi. So with that, does Beijing need to depreciate the currency?
Look, my view is simple. If the tariffs that have been formally put in place yesterday were to actually continue and be permanent, then in my view, there's no doubt the currency needs to do some adjustment to offset that tariff impact. And we look back at the experience of the first trade war between 2018 and 2019 when Trump imposed tariffs on China. The yuan was allowed to weaken to 100% offset the impact of the tariffs.
So let's put numbers on that, Khoon Goh. 2018, phase one, it was basically 25% tariffs. The effective pass-through was 12.5%, which is exactly what, maybe not coincidentally, they allowed the Chinese currency to devalue by, right? This time around, if push comes to shove, right, and again, you're hopeful of a deal, as are a lot of people, right? But if push comes to shove, do you think China's looking at potentially a big one-off devaluation as opposed to death by 1,000 cuts of that magnitude?
Sure. So look, in theory, if the additional 10% of tariffs were to become permanent, then the yuan will need to weaken to roughly around 8 to completely offset the impact of the tariff. Now, I don't expect the Chinese authorities to allow the currency to weaken to that extent because that could be potentially quite destabilizing. Yeah. So my forecast at this stage is 7.5, so sort of a halfway house. They do need the currency to play a bit of a shock absorber role, but they also need to bring in probably more fiscal and monetary policy easing to support the economy as well. Now, is it going to be a one-off devaluation? I don't think so because, again, cast back to what happened in 2015, the last time they did. That time was a fairly minor 2% devaluation, and it caused all sorts of havoc for markets. So I think they want to avoid that. I think if it's going to be a depreciation, they'll actually want to make it progressive, nothing too sudden to spook the market. Again, that is a similar playbook to what happened in 2018, 2019. You notice with the weakening of the yuan back then, it wasn't like a sudden knee-jerk one-off. It was allowed to depreciate over months.